Welcome back. Now, Namibia stands at a pivotal crossroads where economic growth must harmonise with environmental stewardship and social inclusion. As the country pursues its ambitious Vision of 2030 objective to become an industrialised and prosperous, as well as a sustainable nation, transactional advisory services are increasingly called upon to embed these national priorities into deal-making processes. Now, to unpack that, we're joined by Mr. Mekondjo Erastus, the Head of Research at Monasa Advisories and Associates, and he will explore how Namibia is working to align economic growth with environmental. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Nina. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Great.
Well, thank you so much for being here, first of all. And secondly, start by telling us just a little bit about what Monasa is, what Monasa does, and who they are.
Monasa Advisories and Associates is a consulting firm in Namibia. We provide a wide range of services, which include transactional advice, strategy, management consulting, research. We serve a number of public entities, private sector, multilateral organizations within borders and also beyond. So that's who we are.
I want you to, in as layman terms as possible, explain to us what inclusive transactional activity or advisory means.
So inclusive transactional advisory in the Namibian context is basically comprehensively looking at deals outside the financial metrics, the traditional financial metrics, and including basically other considerations such as social economic impact and environmental factors. Yeah.
And why is it becoming increasingly important for the country's development goals? How do the two correlate?
So looking at Namibia specifically and looking at basically our colonial past and the current nature of the inequality in this country, it's critical basically for each deal to have these considerations in mind. I think we're the second most unequal country in the world right now. Considering now that we're second, yeah, behind South Africa. But considering our colonial past, it makes sense. The fact that we are classified as an upper middle income country provides a bit of a paradox in that sense. Any investment or any value creation will be eroded down the line if inequality persists and the current state of affairs continues.
So how does what Monasa does and what you've just explained to me earlier help, address this paradox?
So we integrate ESG factors into each deal that we conduct. We also try to ensure long-term value creation is embedded into structures of our deals. We have very strong stakeholder inclusion. And with the projects that we undertake, we do strong developmental impact assessment. So that's looking at basically every dollar put into a project or an investment. We assess basically the impact on other industries which are related, and also that effect on jobs as well as household income. So yeah, we look at things really comprehensively.
Can you give us an example of structured inclusive deal making from outside of Namibia? From outside of Namibia?
Yeah. I think the best example would be what was undertaken by the Royal Bafokeng Nation in South Africa. It's a community of about 150,000 people, 29 villages sitting. Obviously is blessed with rich platinum reserves. Before, or back in the day, before obviously South Africa, in the colonial period during South Africa, the visionary king of the Bafokeng had the vision to purchase the land and created basically a trust where basically all the assets of the royalties of the platinum sales will be held. Right now, the value of those underlying assets is about $4 billion. And they've spent around $700 million on infrastructure development such as roads, clinics, hospitals, servicing land, just in the past decade. So that's a community benefits agreement that has really, really impacted that community. They don't need to wait for central government to basically, undertake work, build roads or build schools or send their kids to top-level universities. through bursaries. They have the resources available. That's true beneficiation. That's outside of Namibia. Some deals that we've undertaken in country, we've done some great work with the Mine Workers Union, creating their investment vehicle, Namidvest. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's probably one of the largest broad-based Black economic empowerment initiatives in this country, looking at the member base of the MUN of 10,000 members, ex-members and dependents. They now have direct benefits to basically the underlying assets within the commercial vehicle that they set up in Namibia. So that's just some of the examples in terms of inclusive transactional advice that we've been involved in.
That's fantastic. How can, Namibian transaction advisory firms position themselves as leaders in inclusive deal makings within the African context?
So, as Namibian firms, or as a Namibian firm, I think we're the best place to find unique Namibian solutions to Namibian problems. We have our own sort of challenges, our own idiosyncrasies that we share for the most part with most Southern African nations, which were under colonial rule. Inequality persists, moving from a colonial economy to a free market. These factors, they're very similar, but with Namibia in particular, firms like Monasa Advisory and Associates are well placed to basically find unique solutions which are innovative and inclusive, that can basically provide ownership to a broader population, especially affected communities, especially with specific deals within either extractive industries or maybe energy. It's important that the communities benefit holistically with ownership, not just with jobs and here and there. It's important that deals that are structured with ownership in mind can create that generational wealth for Namibia to solve their own problems rather than rely on solutions from outside. Also, when we're looking at other transactional advisory firms or consultants that may be imported from elsewhere abroad, you find an agency problem where somebody else is funding the work, and the actual the need to solve the problem isn't really with Namibians in mind. We are a Namibian firm. We live here. We come from here. We will stay here, and I think that positions us in a sort of positive space to really find proper solutions, and then using those solutions as a template benchmark to replicate maybe to neighboring countries. We've done some work in some neighboring countries as well, such as Malawi, with their investor maps. So we are on that track.
Fantastic. Yeah. Well, Mekondjo, it was lovely having you here. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Nina. Really appreciate it.
When we come back after this brief break, we continue with our conversations here on the Daily Roundup. Stay with us.